Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at gcnlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked. Here we go. Your dial set correctly to USA Prepares. Thank you for being in class with us today. If you'd like to call us, we'll pay for the call. 866-582-9933. 866-582-9933. And if you'd like to listen on your telephone, 605-477-3249. 605-477-3249. Nate is engineering the broadcast in Minnesota. I'm Vincent Finelli. Welcome, Doc Ram. Yeah. So where's Doc Ram? Hey, Rick, you there? Okay, we're working on it. Nathan is working on the sliders, the volume controls, the potentiometers, and he's tweaking the broadcast so that we will have Doc Ram with us. So when he gets them, he'll let me know, and I'll let you know. So thanks for asking. I appreciate it. Well, yeah. So how am I doing? I'm angry. I'm annoyed, irritated, peeved, hot, miffed, fuming, frustrated, irate, livid, peeved, steamed, exasperated, and outraged. Thank you very much. Why? Well, we've been doing this series on what's wrong with America. Well, there's so many things that are wrong with America. And so what do we do about it? Well, I'll tell you the latest story. It happened yesterday afternoon. So as I've mentioned previously on the broadcast, we bought some used vehicles. Why? Because people can't seem to afford to replace the key that they bought on their BMW. So they sell it for $1,000. Or they have a blown head gasket and the mechanic, I'm using that in quotes, mechanic in quotes, the guy who was working on the vehicle takes the head off, takes the front cover off, the timing chain, and says, you know what? Boy, that's a lot more than I thought. This is complicated. I don't know what I'm doing. So that guy, the mechanic, in quotes, leaves the owner of the vehicle stranded. No vehicle, it's all apart. But it's okay. I put the parts in the trunk, right? He says. So now the vehicle is not drivable. We can't start it. We can't move it. There's no complete engine. It's taken apart. And the owner says, well, what am I supposed to do with this? Well, I guess I have to sell it. Well, who's going to buy it? Who is going to buy a BMW with an engine that's taken apart other than maybe the Finelli family? So how much does that sell for? $700. That's how much she wanted. Full asking price, $700. Okay, here's $700. So we put the vehicle on a tow dolly and we take it here. Another guy, similar problem, with a 2005 Trailblazer. So he advertises that he's got a Trailblazer, but transmission's out of it. Why? Well, he hired a guy to repair the transmission. Guy just opened shop. He's got a mechanics shop. That's in quotes, mechanics shop. And so can he fix the vehicle? No, he can't fix it. Can't fix the vehicles, but he's got the transmission out, so he leaves the owner kind of stranded. Well, I just put the transmission in the trunk of your Trailblazer. And so if you can find someone else to fix it, that'd be great. So he sells us this Trailblazer for $600. All right, so we think we can fix it. So we tow it home, and it's, an hour and a half drive. We get it to the farm, and yesterday we decided, after having it here for a couple days, we're going to work on it. So we hook it up to our tow strap, and we move it into position so we can start working on it, because remember, it doesn't have an engine. I'm sorry, it doesn't have a transmission. So it's either push it, which is too hard, because it's been sitting for months and the brake rotors are rusted, so it doesn't want to roll easily. So we open it up, put the vehicle in exactly the position we want, stage it for working on it, close the door, and we hear this click. It's the simultaneous sound of all the doors locking. So now we're locked out. That's okay, we've got a key. We put the key in the door, turn the key. I'm talking about an old-style mechanical key. The kind that used to be on vehicles back in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, that kind of a key. So we've got the key in the door, and it doesn't open. The key doesn't open at all. No problem. Let's go take that key to the back hatch, stick it in the back hatch, turn the key. There's no place to put the key in the back hatch of a 2005 Trailblazer. No problem. Let's go to the passenger door. So we go to the passenger door. No place to put a key. There's only one place to put a key in this 2005 Chevrolet Trailblazer. And that doesn't unlock the door. No problem. We'll get a fiberglass rod, we'll pry back the door window frame, and we'll put a fiberglass rod in there, and we'll hit the unlock switch. We do that. Doesn't unlock the door. No problem. We'll go to the other side, the passenger side, and do the same thing. Doesn't unlock the door. So now Vinny's thinking, I'm a little concerned about this because maybe one of these circuits has gone awry and we are draining the battery, and if we don't get this done soon, we won't be able to get in the vehicle without breaking a window. So I called the Chevrolet dealership, and I said, we've got this 2005 Trailblazer, you guys sell them, and we can't get in. We don't have the key fob. It didn't come with the key fob. We bought it used. It only came with the key. So what does the dealer say? Well, try, hitting the unlock switch. We did that. Okay. Call the police. Call the police. So Vinny says, why would I call the police? So I can't get in my car, and you want me to call guys with guns, right? Now, what are they going to do? They said, well, they've got a tool to unlock it. And I said, we got the same tools. And it didn't work. They said, well, call a locksmith. So I'm living in an hour each way from the big city, from where the locksmiths are. So I think, okay, let me OnStar. Those guys can unlock this thing via satellite. No problem. I call OnStar. OnStar, they ask me, is this, they give you a bunch of choices, and one of them is unlock the vehicle. So I press that number for unlock the vehicle. Then I get a message, is there a person or a pet in the vehicle? No. I tell them the truth. Then I get to talk to a real person who tells me that he can't help me. Why? Because it's not registered. So what is your name? First name, Vincent. What's your last name? Finelli. Okay. And he wants more information. I said, hold it. All I want to know is, can you unlock this vehicle? Now, if you want to know why I said I'm angry, annoyed, irritated, peeved, hot, miffed, fuming, it's as a result of Chevrolet's inept accounting system. Because those are the guys who said, we don't need no stinking lock on the rear of this Trailblazer, and we don't need no stinking lock on the passenger side, and you know what? We don't even need to make locks that work very well. You can't get into this thing. You can't get under the hood. You are absolutely, totally at the mercy of a bunch of people who have no clue on how to help you. I'm talking about OnStar. So OnStar, the OnStar engineer, and I'm using that very, 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 very loosely, tells me that he'll connect me with someone who can help me. So I get this guy in Michigan. I get transferred to this guy in Michigan. He says, okay, it'll be $73 and change to send someone out. I said, are they going to be able to unlock it? I don't know. You don't know. So you're going to we have to take your funds via credit card over the phone before we send somebody out. So I have to pay him, and they can't even tell me if he's going to be able to unlock my car. I say, forget it. So if you're wondering why people have absolutely lost it, this is just one tiny speck of an example as to why people have lost it and have done some horrible things in anger. Seriously. And, I was thinking about the time that I lived in Silicon Valley, California, and a towing company stole my car. They literally stole my car. And they put it in a fenced-in concertina wired area, and they wouldn't tell me where it was. And after several phone calls and running me all across town, north side, east side, south side of San Jose, I finally lost my temper. And I said to the guy on the phone, I know where you are. And if you don't tell me where my car is, I'm going to drive the car I've got right now right through your front window. You know what? He was able to tell me where my car was. Now, I'm not suggesting that you take a page out of Vinny's book because Vinny was really hot. They stole my car. And I wasn't too happy about it. And that was pistol shooting night at Lockheed Missiles in Space, where they had an indoor gun range. And I happened to have my pistol with me in California. All perfectly legal. Right next to my checkbook. In my briefcase. So what's wrong with America? I just told you. So what do? What do? You don't buy these things. I can't wait to sell it. But I am going to get the unlocker, that remote. I just bought them on eBay for like $15 for two. Dr. Ram's with us. Dr. Richard Allen Miller. Website, richardallenmiller.com. Richard, A-L-A-N, Miller.com. So, Rick, let me just do a quick recap. So I mentioned that we bought some vehicles, and we bought a BMW for $1,000, 528i, model year 2000. Bought another one, and that one, the seller sold it because she broke the key. The plastic part of the key, she broke that, and she was having trouble getting the car to start and unlock the steering wheel. So it was stuck. This car was stuck in her apartment parking place on a diagonal, one of those diagonal parking spots. So she was parked in there, couldn't get it out because the key wouldn't unlock the ignition. So she wanted to sell it. She wanted $1,000.
She sold it for $1,000 because, oh man, I hate people like that. I mean, how much money does someone need?
Well, they need more. Whatever it is, they need more because they can't afford.
I don't understand that. I don't get it.
Well, Rick, it's a combination of factors, but all of them are against the customer. So here's what happened. So she sold us that vehicle. And then another gal had a vehicle, same vehicle, 2000 model year BMW 528i. She sold it to us because the head gasket blew, and she had a guy work on it, and he couldn't do it. So he took the engine apart, took the head off, took the valve cover off, took the timing chain off, and he was going to fix it, but he gave up. Couldn't do it. So she sold us the vehicle for $700. Right?
I want to know some of these people. I'd buy one of those. You'd be able to park one. Jesus.
They're all over the internet. It's not like we're buying every single one. There's plenty of them. Then we bought a Trailblazer, and this guy had it. Okay, well,
you sound like Joe Worthington or something. Come on down.
Okay, so these are, this happened within the last 2 weeks, okay? So we have this Trailblazer here. The guy has a Trailblazer, and it has a transmission problem. So he brings it to a guy, a mechanic shop that just opened up, and the guy takes the transmission out and says, you know what, I can't do it. So now the owner has his Chevrolet 2005 Trailblazer with the transmission out. So it's okay, transmission's in the trunk. But he can't drive it. He can't start it. He can't say, hey, listen to this engine purr, because when you take the transmission out, the starter comes out with it. Okay, because you remove the bell housing. So now it's a pig in a poke. You don't know if really the condition of the vehicle. Yeah. So the owner is toast, because who's going to buy a vehicle with the transmission out, in the transmission's now in the trunk, drive shafts out, cross members out, all these parts are out, but they're in the trunk. Maybe it has all the parts, maybe it doesn't. You can't start it, you can't hear it, you can't test drive it. So who's going to buy it? So he sold it to us for $600. Now
I find the whole thing ludicrous. It's crazy.
Well, I haven't gotten to the ludicrous part yet. So we have this. Well, you've seen the farm. We towed it to the farm, and we're going to work on it. So our son and I are out there, and we move this vehicle. We put it in a position, and the windows are up, and we close the door, and we hear click. All the doors simultaneously locked. Now we don't have the remote. It didn't come with the remote unlocker or locker. So we put the key in the door, and it won't open the door. And there's only one place to put the key. There's no place in the back. You can't open the trunk with a key, like you can with other vehicles. You can't go to the passenger side and put the key in that door, because while the accountants have saved the money from the lock cylinder, so there's no place to open the car door with a mechanical key, which we did have, except the driver's door, and it won't work. The key will not work. You put it in, you turn it left, right, but it doesn't do anything. So we put a fiberglass rod, we pried the door frame so we could get a fiberglass rod, press the unlock button. It took one person guiding and one person pushing the rod, because you can't really see what you're doing. So we did that to no avail. So we did it on the driver's side, passenger side, no avail. Called the dealer, and the dealer ultimately says, well, try that. We already tried that. He says, okay, use the remote. We don't have a remote. Okay, call the police. Call the police. That's what he says. Call the police. And the police.
Why would the police? They're just break a window open or something.
Right. Well, I've got a hammer. I don't need a guy to show up with guns and shotguns and tasers and all that and arrest me for prove this is your car. Well, I can't, because I can't get in it. I can't get in it. So I didn't want the cops here. I'll tell you the rest of the story when we come back. Doc Ram's with us. Dr. Richard Allen Miller. So Rick. And I mentioned that this vehicle locked itself. So it's not like we did something stupid. It's not like we accidentally hit the remote button and said lock from a distance and said, uh-oh, the car's locked. We don't even have a remote. This thing locked itself. We closed the door. And so one of the calls that our son made while I was really frustrated on the phone with some of these other turkeys, like, the dealership and OnStar. So I asked OnStar, what can they do it? And they called a repair service on my behalf, and I told the guy, forget it. I wasn't going to pay them $73 and change for an attempt to come and unlock this one. OnStar could unlock it for me, but the car wasn't registered with OnStar, so they wouldn't do it. Well.
Can you imagine what would have happened if that was some kid in Pakistan saying, look what I can do?
Absolutely. That's
exactly what's happening next. And with all of this nonsense going on with AI, smart meters, and the rest of it, nothing's smart about it at all. It's crazy.
Okay. So you're right. So when I was talking to the dealer, I said, well, wait a minute. Don't you have some device that you can press a button and unlock any of your, any Chevrolet vehicle? No, we don't have that. I said, well, he said, if you had the remote, you could unlock it. And I said, okay, so can we get a remote? And he goes, yeah, bring it over, and, we need the key. You need the key in the ignition to program the remote. And I said, I can't get in the car. I
can't get there from here. Yeah,
I can't get there from here because I can't get in the car because the car door is locked and I don't have the remote. Well, if you have a key and you put the key in ignition, you can program a remote. Okay, so I ordered 2 of them from eBay with the batteries, shipped, delivered, no tax, for $15 and change for 2 of them. So I'll have 2 of them. Now, this is just, and we called this locksmith. Our son called the locksmith while I was talking to these other turkeys. Locksmith said, oh, yeah, Trailblazer. Yeah, those are the ones that lock themselves sometimes. So he's explaining and confirming, yeah, they do that. These Trailblazers lock themselves.
On purpose.
Now, what happens to this woman who's shopping, and she says, honey, to her 3-year-old, tell you what, I'll be right back. I'm just running in for a pack of cigarettes. You know what they do? And then she comes back, her vehicle's locked, the child can't open it, so what does she do? I guess she calls the guys with guns. And then they help her, break the window. Why? Because it locked itself. So if you think that OnStar is going to help you, I am here to tell you they did not help me one iota, other than refer me to someone who told me they might be able to unlock it, but I had to pay first. I said no. Now that gets us to technology. So people have these smart devices, which I think is exactly the opposite of smart. And I was on the phone last night with one of our instructor's other halves. So we were talking about that. I was telling her this story, and she said, yeah, it's like the smart refrigerator. about the person who bought the smart refrigerator, and it's locked. It's locked. She can't get in her refrigerator. So she calls the company and says, hey, my refrigerator's locked. And they go, name, what's your name? Okay. And first name, last name. Okay. All right. You missed a payment. You missed a payment. That's why it's locked. It's like, what are you talking about? I didn't miss any payments. I paid for it in full. This is my refrigerator. Why is it locked? Oh, this looks, hold on. Clerical error. Clerical error will unlock it for you. So remotely, her refrigerator gets unlocked by some company. She paid for it in full. So now you have a smart refrigerator. The darn thing goes and gets locked because some turkey makes a clerical error.
Let's look at the bigger picture on this. Has to do with Agenda 21 and taking control of our civil rights. And one of them is to open your own car. Another is to go into your refrigerator where you've got your food. Now imagine the militarization of all of that. That's what's happening. And it's happening right now. I just posted on my Facebook about Agenda 21. You can thank Obama. If you like what he did, click here. We're screwed.
Okay.
And so they're edging in on every border. We're not talking about Canadian and Mexico. We're talking about your civil rights at home and the right to open your own damn refrigerator. Mm-hmm. It's crazy what I'm experiencing, what I'm seeing, what I'm noticing is the edges. And it's all for convenience. And it's not about convenience at all. It's called weaponization.
Okay, let me give you another example. While I'm miffed, hot, perturbed, peeved, frustrated, irate, livid, steamed, exasperated, outraged. Okay, so someone steals my bag. And it was a little tiny computer bag that I carried around. I had my wallet in. I had, a couple things in there. And someone stole it out of my car while I was loading lumber at the lumber yard. So I noticed that it's gone. Shoot, my license, So I go to the DMV, and we have this DMV gal. She's known me for years and years and years. So I go see her. Hey, Vincent, what's up? Hey, someone stole my wallet. My license was in it. I need a replacement driver's license. Okay, no problem. So she goes and looks it up. She says, Vincent, your driver's license has been suspended. I go, no. Impossible. How's that possible? She said, well, you didn't pay this fine. What fine? Well, you owe $20. For what? So here's what happened. Some other turkey in the DMV system has a typographical error problem. Types in my license number associated with a parking ticket where I've never been. I get revoked because I didn't pay the fine that I didn't know about. That wasn't even mine. So now I can't get a license, a copy of my license, to replace the one that was stolen because some turkey can't type. That's just another example. So you get locked out of your refrigerator. Whose refrigerator is it? It's yours. But if you're stupid enough to buy a refrigerator that is Wi-Fi controlled, you've lost your mind anyway. And why? What heck? If you go to the website, you can change the temperature of your refrigerator remotely. Is that cool or what? So you're at the office and you say, you know what? 36.5. No. 36.8. No. Let's go to 37 degrees. No. Now that'll cost more. Let's go to 35 degrees. Who in their right mind would want that kind of control remotely across the internet that can be hacked to set the parameters on your refrigerator when you can and can't dispense water out of your front refrigerator door, or the temperature, or whether it's locked or not? Who would pay for that? Why? Why would I want a refrigerator that has a locking door? So my son can't get in? Maybe my wife. Maybe I don't want her in it, right? No, maybe my parents. No, maybe if I had grandchildren. You know, I got to protect what's in my refrigerator, so I want to lock that door. Really? This is insanity. And it's not free. These locks cost extra. How do I know? Because General Motors won't put them where you need them. Because they have accountants that said, we don't need no stinking locks on the passenger side. We can save $3.
Imagine
on
when
each vehicle.
The garbage. Yeah, imagine what's going to happen when the sanitation department figures it out with your garbage can, because they're mostly run by Italian mafia, and imagine where that's going to go. Oh, I mean, I can just see that science fiction story. It's going to get bumpy out there. You better buckle up.
Well, so what are they going to do, Rick? Are they going to make it so that you can't fill your garbage can? Put a lock on it so you're smart. That's it. Maybe they. I was thinking about all the rats and mice and all that stuff. There was years ago back in Philadelphia, they had a garbage strike, and there was garbage piled higher than a person, and you'd walk down these aisleways between the buildings on one side and the trash piled on the other side, and that's where the name Filth-adelphia came from. Not Philadelphia, Filth-adelphia, from the garbage strike of that era. Pretty frustrating, absolutely frustrating. So my advice, class, is resist. So, am I complaining? You bet. Do I like General Motors? No. Am I going to buy a General Motors new vehicle? Absolutely not. I've got an old truck, a 2004, and if you want to open the door, you're going to have to find your key, and you're going to have to stick it in the door lock, and you have to turn it. There is no remote anything. It's called a work truck. It's made for working. There's nothing fancy about it. It's got seats. It's got crank-up windows. Does have air conditioning. Okay, but it's really plain. It's really plain. No extra anything on this truck. And I can't lock myself out of it with a remote because it doesn't have one. And the turkeys at General Motors can't. And the General Motors turkeys can't lock it on me either. So it can't automatically be locked.
The whole thing is about marketing. That's what it is. And the services to assist on that have gone in the opposite direction. Let's go there.
Okay.
You can't get, there's no such thing as service anymore.
Well, if you're talking about the bend over service, you can get that. But if you're talking about you're getting your car fixed. All right, so Rick, when I come back, you've got a Nissan 280Z, formerly known as Datsun. All right, so when I come back, would you please tell us if you have changed the spark plugs in your 280Z and how long it took you and about how much it cost you if you were to do it today? We'll be right back. Doc Ram's with us, and we're talking about what's wrong with America. Lots of little tiny examples, but you add it all up and it's pretty serious. So, Rick, you've got a Nissan 280Z, a sports car, two-seater. Well, and it's a six-cylinder, inline six-cylinder, right? Have you changed the spark plugs in that yourself?
No, I have over the years. It's rarely. I have electronic ignition, and so they once in a while they'll, mess up. But otherwise,
so how long? How long does it take you? How long does it take you in minutes, hours, days to change 6 spark plugs? Like, let's say you decide, all right, I'm going to change the spark plugs, and I've got 6 of them here because it's a 6-cylinder car. I've got my socket wrench. I've got an extension. I've got the socket specially for the spark plug.
Well, once I got the tool in my hand, it's just minutes.
Yep.
Because, finding the tool in the garage, the right deep socket, that kind of thing. But once I've got that in my hand, it's minutes. Doesn't take hours. Doesn't take the block of time. It's simple. You pull the wire off the plug, you pull the plug. And the plug is just screwing it up. So, how hard is that?
When I was working on cars back in that era, we're talking about in the 70s, spark plugs were about $1 a piece. Today, they're a little bit more expensive, maybe $4, $5, and they've got rebates. So we buy them. We buy the Iridium, the $5 spark plugs when they have a $3.50 rebate. So they cost us about $1.50 with the rebate. So how much do you think you would spend to buy each one of those 6 spark plugs, Rick?
Well, probably less than $10.
Okay. All right. Well, here's the price that Chevrolet, I called them up, and I said, so what does it cost to inspect this vehicle, pre-purchase inspection? So if I want to buy a vehicle from somebody else and bring it to you guys and have you look at it. Let me say it a different way. Look at it. Not really touch it, not adjust anything, not put any parts on, just look. $80 to look at it, okay? And they tell me that doesn't really include engine diagnostics. That's just looking. Does it have oil in it? Does it have coolant in it? Does it seem to have brake pads? Do the tires have tread on them? Is there anything loose in the front suspension? They just look, okay? $80. Well, I said, so how about a spark plug change? How much does it cost to have those 6 spark plugs changed? Well, $170, 170.00 Federal Reserve accounting unit dollars. Does that seem like a lot of money to you? Because it seems outrageous to me.
Well, I wouldn't have a mechanic that worked like that on my vehicles.
And that's Chevy.
Yeah, I understand. Because I don't have. I've done my tour. I've pulled engines. I've done what I've done. Now I let someone else do some of that work because I don't want to do that. I can do it. I can do anything. Mm-hmm. But certain things as you get older, I just don't feel like busting a knuckle. That's what you do. You bust a knuckle. And so I let somebody else bust a knuckle. And I have a really good mechanic. He's been with me 40 years, and I've known him for 40 years. When I don't have any money, he does the quick end. If I have then he does the full Monty. he's my friend, and he's a mechanic, and he's local, and that's what the deal is. Just simple.
Right. So you go to your friend, and you say, "Friend, I'm thinking about having these spark plugs, all 6 of them, replaced." And your guy says to you, "Okay, now with the parts, Rick, with all 6 spark plugs included, that's maybe $10 worth. I'm going to charge you $160 more to take them out and put the new ones in." What would your answer be? Would you have a response? I mean,
I couldn't afford that. I wouldn't be able to afford that.
Okay, well, that's crazy, right? I mean, it's
yeah. I can't afford that.
Okay, over the top crazy. All right. Well, that's for a Chevrolet 6-cylinder Trailblazer. So you move up to a chicken foot, also known as Mercedes. That's what the logo looks like to me. It looks like a chicken foot, and that's what we call them around here. $645 to change the spark plugs on a Mercedes V8. $645. I bought an entire Mercedes in the last 2 weeks with the spark plugs. Everyone all set, cocked, locked. Here we go. Hour number 2 of USA Prepare. Doc Rams with us, Dr. Richard Allen Miller. RichardAllenMiller.com. That's RichardAlanMiller.com. So we've been talking about technology, the double-edged sword, and how it is abusing us, or we're letting it abuse us. So let me give you an example. So Alexa, Alexa. Amazon has this product called Alexa. And so if you go to the internet and you say, what is Amazon Alexa? Here's what you find out. Echo, always listening via Amazon's Alexa voice service lets you play music, order pizza, and get answers to your questions, and control popular, what is that? Popular smart home devices, and 1,000 plus other things. $100 from Amazon. So it's a voice-controlled device, and you can say, Alexa, I want pizza. And Alexa will place that call and order that pizza for you, or make that connection. Okay? You have to have Wi-Fi in order to make this, device work properly, but it can do things for you. It can do all kinds of things for you, even things that you don't want it to do. For example, I'm reading an article, marketingland.com. So Alexa is listening, also known as eavesdropping, on a Washington state couple. So Alexa's always listening, and it hears them, records their full conversation, and then says, I'm going to send it to somebody. Who? Somebody at random in the couple's contact database. So imagine this. So you're you're at home and you go to your wife or your husband. So what do you think of Bill? I think he's a jerk. You know why he's a jerk? He's a jerk for these 11 reasons. So Alexa goes off and calls Bob. Bob and Bill are friends. So do you know what the couple says? Hey, they think you're a jerk, and for 11 reasons. Why would anybody? Jeez. I mean, really, why would anybody pay $100 for this device to listen in to everything they do and make mistakes? And I know it's hard to get up off the couch and turn the light off. I understand that. It's hard to lock your door. It's hard to even, I bet people are awake at night thinking about the water dispenser on the front of the refrigerator saying, you know what? I better lock that because somebody might use it. I better lock the water dispenser. Cold water. Who thinks of this stuff? And how is it possible that there are people so stupid that they'll buy into it?
Welcome to America. Only in America.
Rick, here's just one other little piece of this that bothers me. So it bothers me that people are so stupid that they won't prepare, but they'll buy an Alexa. Worse than that is it's possible, remotely possible, that someone with an Alexa in their home might invite me and Mrs. Finelli over. It's unlikely because we don't have any friends. But if we did, I mean, other than our radio instructors in our class, we don't have any friends. Not that we want them. Friends are expensive because friends always want something, at least from me. So we don't have any friends. But if we did, I can imagine being invited to a person's house where they have an Alexa, and then that Alexa would be recording us. I don't want that. I don't want the possibility of going to someone's house and having some parasite eavesdropping on the conversation remotely without my knowledge. Pretty soon, Finelli's not going to say a word. Not a word. Can you imagine? Who wants to go to someone's house where they have an Alexa? I was talking to one of our instructors' wives, and she said, yeah, they have an Alexa over there at that house, and they all talk really quietly because, Alexa might do something that they don't want Alexa to do, so they whisper in their own home. Can you imagine having to whisper because you're stupid enough to buy an Alexa, pay for it, and then have to whisper in your own house because you're afraid that Alexa might do something, like record what you're saying and send it to somebody that you don't like? Really? One more thing.
I don't have answers to any of this other than how do I begin this? It's a simple life, without the complications of all the different gizmos. I remember when the Cadillac first came out. A friend of mine and I went to a rock festival, and he was in a Cadillac, and it's pouring down rain. Janis Joplin got out in the mud. Fires are burning, big fires. People are stoned out of their minds, and he turns on the air conditioning, rolls the windows up, power windows. That's what I remembered, what distinguished Cadillac from the rest of the crowd, is that we had you didn't have to roll the window up. You pushed a button and it did it for you. It's
okay. Power windows.
It's all changed. That was back in the 60s, man. That's I remember. Wait, what's going on here? And he liked to sit back and pretend like he didn't have to do anything. He just sat there and took it all in, pushed a button here, and the air came on, pushed a button there, and the heat came on, da-da-da-da-da. It was, cleaned his windshields. That's crazy. And now they're running out of gizmos in terms of what to add to make it a little more money. And that's because the more they do, the more specialized everything has to be in fixing it. Mm-hmm. And I remember you have to have a computer now to rebalance your electronic ignition. I mean,
okay, so you get that heat in that Cadillac. Now we have different temperature controls for the passenger side and the driver's side. Really, you can't agree that on a temperature. So so your passenger says, no, I want a little cooler. No, I want a little hotter. So now we have a complex system that we can't maintain ourselves. We have to bring it to a mechanic because we can't figure out how to fix the temperature control system, which is a computer control system in the car. Okay, it used to be you had a lever, and you'd slide the lever, to the right for hotter, to the left for colder, and it had a $12 part. And if you couldn't control the temperature, it was that $12 part, and you could access it easily under the hood. Now it's really complicated, and that's what's happening. People are showing up with their vehicles here at the Finelli farm because the temperature controls don't work. And what does it involve? A circuit board. And how much is that? Easily, wholesale cost $50. Easily. Forget that, the hour it takes to put it in. So now you can't get the temperature in your pickup truck, and you're looking at $100. Okay, used to be $12. All right, so here's one other thing. I mean, while I'm on in this miffed, fuming, frustrated, peeved, steamed, exasperated, outraged, angry, annoyed mode. Okay. So I have looked under the hoods of lots of vehicles operated by, well, it's my son's car. Not my son, but I mean, that's what people say. It's my son's car. He drives it. And what is the common thread that is attributed to every single one of these vehicles that's driven by a millennial? There's no oil on the engine dipstick. 100%. How is it possible that someone would let their millennial drive the family vehicle and not say, yo, listen, every week you see this thing? That's the hood release. You pull that. Then you go out in the front of the car and this other secondary hood release. You raise the hood. See this thing with the yellow? The yellow little handle? That's the engine oil. Now you pull that out and you have a clean rag with you or a paper towel and you wipe it off, and the oil level should be between here and here. This is the low mark. This is the high mark. That difference is 1 quart. So if it's on low, you add a quart. If it's halfway between low and full, you add half a quart. If it's not on the dipstick, you haven't been paying attention, and you can't drive the car anymore. 100% of the vehicles we've looked at, 100%. Let me say it a different way. All of them. No oil on the dipstick. No oil on the dipstick. How is it possible?
That's how the engine wears out. That's how you do it. That's why my 280Z is still running tight, because you check the oil.
Yeah, and you change the oil. And I'd like to have a little contest. I guess what I'll do a survey. Next time I'm in Walmart and Sam's Club and I see young people, looking down, tripping over things because they're looking at their phones as they're walking, I'm going to ask them. I'm going to say, I'm taking a survey, and do you know how to check the oil in your car? One question, yes or no? Well, yeah. I've heard about that. I want to know how they've done it. So, Rick, what do we do? Okay, in this
you know what I'm doing? Actually, I received a call several days ago. There is a group, Saint Germain of Europe, an old bloodline, is decided they want to build a metaphysical school for children. Mm-hmm. And I've been in Sedona. And so I've been asked to participate in this, and I'm going to start training children in the broader fields of physics. That's what I think we can do.
Yep, and I think we need to run for the school board office and then demand that we install the trade schools back in our high schools. We'll be right back. Class, if you want to see what Vinny looks like, I was on stage at the Laclede Annual Board of Directors Circus, or Carnival, last month for about 7 minutes. And if you want to see what I look like, if you want to see what I had to say, if you want to see Vincent Finelli versus Laclede Electric Board of Directors on stage, and if you want to see the corporate attorney trying to get me off stage, and if you want to see the confrontation, if you want to see me tell him the way it's going to be on stage, just go to YouTube. Type in, or go to your search engine, type YouTube, comma, Vincent Finelli, that's Finelli, comma, Laclede, as in Laclede Electric, Laclede. It'll take you right to it. That's Vincent Finelli versus Laclede. Also, you can go to USA Preparedness, and there's a link that says Vincent Finelli versus Laclede Electric Board of Directors, 7-minute video annual meeting. And, if you want to see what Vinny's like in the real world, outnumbered, outgunned, and not willing to back down, you'll see it. You'll see me tell the attorney, I'm not done. Twice. in front of everybody. And then you'll hear me say right after that, I don't take direction very well. And I don't. I am not going to be run over by the system. So, class, if you want to take a page out of our book here at USA Prepares, you can say no. You know, when they ask me for an ID in the checkout line, I go, no. No. So, Rick, we need to teach in our classes the trades: plumbing, heating, electrical, roofing, framing, carpentry, auto mechanics. Right? It's more important.
These are all skills that everybody needs to be exposed to. To eliminate them from high school, like shop and drafting, that's where I learned how to print. It was mechanical drawing. I think that there's a serious problem with education today, and that it is why homeschooling is becoming more popular, because, of course, the skills that you learn at home, you can't learn in school anymore. That's wrong.
Mm-hmm. David in Illinois, welcome. You're on with Doc Ram.
How you doing? Hey, I heard you guys talking.
David,
you were, yeah, you there? Okay.
Hey, David.
You were talking you there?
Yeah.
Hello?
I'm here. Yes, thank you for holding.
Okay. Yeah. You missed one big thing about all this Wi-Fi stuff, and that is it leaves your house open to be you're leaving yourself wide open to be monitored, so you can be burglarized and everything. I mean, anybody can monitor your house with all this technology and Wi-Fi and devices in your home. Not just burglaries.
Right.
I mean, if you don't want the government to monitor you, well, you gave them a free ticket in your house. Whenever they want,
not
they can monitor your house.
You're paying for it.
Right. And, I see so many people with these devices, and I'm like, why would you do that? It don't make sense.
I have actually stated that the 5G technology is an endgame weapon. And when I say that, it's like all technology, there's two edges to it. And, like nuclear medicine as to a nuclear bomb. But the direction of 5G is the primary purpose of that is to be able to monitor specific individuals using DNA. And the concept of voice-to-skull technology, which was the ability to place a sound anywhere in space that you wanted, precision. That's what voice-to-skull is all about. It's not a bad thing or a good thing. It is a new thing. And when you realize that all of our children now are being put on scripts that should be reserved strictly for adults, we've opened up a new can of worms. Perfect weapon.
Yeah, and just reading a headline, 5G Wi-Fi backed by Trump appears unstoppable. But I've also read he won't allow it in his neighborhood. We'll be right back. Okay, class, we're talking about cell towers, we're talking about Wi-Fi, we're talking about the inescapability of these signals. And so an article I read said that Donald Trump's area, his neighborhood, will be exempt from 5G, including Trump's Mar-a-Lago. And that was on Investors Hub website. Also, Church of England, they want to use their spires, on their churches, to house cell phone antennas all across the United Kingdom. Heck, praise the Lord. Use those unused spires pointing upward to conceal cell phone antennas. And right now, cell phone antennas are being disguised inside what looks like palm trees. These fake palm trees, So you have these palm leaves.
I need to interject. I want to interject. Yeah, I need to interject here. This is important. The problem is the radiation of 5 gigahertz, and from cell phones. I had been questioning what was wrong with the Ponderosa in Grants Pass, Oregon, because everything is taking a hit, and I have just given you a link on RF radiation from cell phone towers is now killing spruce trees. That's what's causing the death in the upper branches of all of our timber in Oregon. And it's not Fukushima, it's the 5G radiation. And they've now done studies to prove it. Now, the bad news is it's a done deal. How do you stop this nonsense? How do you stop this nonsense? You do it one person at a time. And that's how it's going to get changed, because there is no way out of it right now. And it is toxic. I am here as I would be remiss if I didn't say something about it. And the bad news is I can tell you that there's a possibility of an endgame weapon with Agenda 21, excuse me. When I say that, once this is in place, they can do things. They won't. There'll be legislation saying they can't. But like anything, Merlin said it best. Anything not specifically forbidden is mandatory. If it's possible, you can count on it. And this is a potential endgame weapon. Once in place, there is nothing any of us can do to defend ourselves. That is what microwave band is about. You can't screen it. That's why we're down here on the bottom of Earth, not up in the upper atmosphere. I had my say on it. I have no rights in my state. They're pushing it through in Grants Pass, Oregon. The Applicator, one of our local papers, will have a pro and con on it. And do you think that they allowed me to submit my opinion as a physicist? Why? Like your automobile and the lock and key crap. The whole thing is to take ownership away from you, just like our education. And I've had enough. I'm going to start saying so. This is absolutely incorrect. And the 5G in itself is toxic. It has LD50 ratios. Beal, B-E-A-L, Dr. Beal in Florida has done extensive medical studies on what it does to the physical body. Read that, and then you tell me what you want to do. It basically, 5 gigahertz, causes the temporal lobes to ring, and they heat up, and it causes them to heat up in your brain, causing your brain to heat up, and starts ringing. And then they can heterodyne voices or other kinds of subliminals. That in itself is already being done with targeted individuals. Where do you think this is going to go when it's on the back end of every single house in America, and an AI is running it that has already gotten the genetics on your DNA so it can target specific an individual in your home? I'm telling you. You got it. You just figured it out. I have the math in front of me. As you said this, here's what I did. You mentioned the spruce tree, right? So yep. I'm thinking, what is it with the spruce tree? Why are they dying? And here's what I did. So I did a search. I went to a search engine. I typed in length of spruce needles. Okay, length of spruce needles. Length is 1 to 1.5 inches long. Then I said, okay, that's how long a spruce needle is. And I'm thinking a spruce needle can be an antenna. Okay. Then I said, I'm very serious about this. And Rick, the math is, well, listen to the math, you won't believe it. So then I said, all right, so what is about 2.4 gigahertz? And it's about 4 centimeters in wavelength, about. Okay. Then I said, let's convert 4 centimeters to inches. 1.5748. Like
I mean, 1.5 inches. Length of a spruce needle, 1 to 1.5 inches. Length of the wavelength of 4 gigahertz. I'm sorry, 2.4 gigahertz. Right? 1.5 inches. These needles, these spruce needles, are acting as antennae. Millions of them. Maybe trillions of them. Maybe trillions and trillions of them. Okay? They are acting as antennas, each needle. They are absorbing the full wavelength of 2.4 gigahertz, and I think you hit the nail right on the head. That's what's killing them.
Well,
they're cooking.
There's something that is causing everything, including habitat, to change. The amount of flies on a pigsty, the amount of ants on your kitchen counter. It's all affecting the smaller resonance factors in the soil and in our homes. And I put one on the back end of my house, and I have no say in it. And
you're talking about a smart meter, or antenna.
Well, the smart meter is going to be run by these towers. You'll notice they're everywhere now, and they're trying to. They used to have on the Rogue River in the Kamiapsis or wilderness area that if you were going to have a water thing going into a water pipe going into the river to pull irrigation, it had to look natural. You had to make it look like a fallen tree. They have completely disregarded that now. Now you can spot them. There's a logged off area, and there's that antenna all sticking out all by itself. There it is. Why? Because it's a direct line thing. And I'm going to tell you something else. If there's ever any kind of revolution, the first thing I know I'm going to be doing is a stick of dynamite on one of those towers to drop them. That's it. Take them out. Because, and I'm saying there's no other option. It's an endgame weapon. It's,
that's why they don't want us to have 22s.
Chinese.
That's why they don't want us to have 22 cartridges. Because I think they're afraid that people will say, I don't have any targets to shoot at. Oh, there's one. There's one. I'm not recommending you do this,
the 5G tower
I think it's coming.
Is in itself, the 5G tower is in itself a technology. It's not good or bad, but it can be used this way or that way. That means it's going to be both.
So imagine some government corporation guy shows up, whether he's in a blue uniform or black uniform, it doesn't matter. Guy shows up, rings your doorbell and says, hey, I'm from the government corporation. What's your first thought? Thank goodness this guy's here to help me. I don't think that's the first thought. I think that's the last thought. It's like, what do they want now?
How much land, how much of the property in Grants Pass is owned by what country? Let's start with China. Excuse me, let's call it China. They're already on the run because of our trades. And they can't do anything about it. The fact is, we're still the cheapest and best buy there was, and now there's nothing coming from any gross national products from America. I worked in the spice trade. It was a 10-to-1 ratio. And the bottom line was anything that the United States would use in spices was written in stone that Germany did 10 times that because they were ahead of us in the uses of old world remedies. Now, I have to say that with the new technologies that are coming on, I don't need it, I don't want it, and I can't get away from it. And now the University of Pennsylvania is outlawing certain parts of the woods because you don't, quote, have reception, just in case you needed to make an emergency call. That is why I go into the woods, to get away from that kind of thing. And now they're regulating that you can't because it's, quote, not safe. That's crazy.
Absolutely. Absolutely crazy.
I'm sorry,
so
I didn't mean. I would be remiss if I didn't say something like this. And I'm going to right up front say it will be the first thing I teach a 4-year-old.
How
sovereignty.
Oh, I thought you were going to say...
there's three ways of being in this world. There's the vulgar, the adept, and the exempt. And the vulgar get audited from the government, the adept gets money back from the government, and the exempt has a 501c3. They don't pay taxes. I'm not talking about maritime law, but somehow I have some rights on my own home. And it would seem as if you could have that right in terms of rainwater that fell, in terms of the power that was delivered to the house, and yet all of that is regulated now. Every single bit of that is regulated. You have no rights.
I had a call from a lady I know over the weekend, and she said she wants to buy an old car, actually an old truck. Why? Because it has a key that you can turn. It's got a mechanical locking system. It's got no computers. But where are you going to find them? They're getting harder and harder and harder to find. We'll be right back. Doc Ram's with us. RichardAllenMiller.com. RichardAlanMiller.com. So if you'd like to buy his books, that's the place to go. Mark in Illinois, welcome. You're on with Doc Ram.
Hey, morning. I think on the flip side of all this stuff that's going on, and as we pass through everything that's going to come, I think the wave of the technology of the future is going to be scalar energetics, zero gravity. It's going to replace natural gas, nuclear power, electricity, and all petroleum. It doesn't mean there won't be a need for those things, but there'll have to be a re-education in engineering and all aspects of our society with this new technology. And I just wanted to know what you thought about that, scalar energetics, that technology.
Doc Ram, did you hear what he said? Did you hear what he said?
Some of it was broken up. Re-education is absolutely in order, no question. But the bottom line is that once you're educated on it, now you're going to know why you don't want to do it. So why would they want to educate if it's going to cause disruption? That's why they have changed schools and taken things out of the curriculum. It's terrible.
I'm talking about scalar energetics. Type of technology that will replace everything that man has today.
Mark, you're breaking up really badly. Is there something you can do to get a better signal?
I don't know. Maybe. Let's see here. Okay. Does it sound better?
Are you on a cell phone?
No, I'm on a landline. But does it sound better now?
Okay. A little bit. Yeah, go ahead. So please ask your question.
Well, I that in the future, as we come through all these things, the technology that will replace everything that we have right now will be scalar energetics, zero gravity, and it will be the technology of the future. Well, everybody will have to be trained in every branch of education.
I'm not quite sure how that would work.
Well, it's scalar. Scalar means how a demon, something that's lesser dimensioned, would try to become you. And you, lesser dimensioned than an angel, trying to become an angel, as a metaphor. Now, that means that if I rattle this cage this way, it will have a resonance that causes it to scale upwards or downward in energy and in terms of levels of information. And that's what your gut does. Your gut has a virus that talks to the mold, and the mold talks to the bacteria, and the bacteria talks to the little varmint, and the little varmint talks to the larger varmint. And now you have a hierarchy of organisms talking to each other in a resonant cavity oscillation. And that's outside space-time. And that's where we're going is scalar concepts of Beard and other people like that, where you you shake your fist and it rattles the world. That's where we're going. And so in some ways, I'm feeling more empowered as well as less. There are ebbs and flows, or what I would say pluses and minuses with everything. And as we evolve with our concepts of science, we also have to give up something for that. And some of it I'm not willing to do. And that's why I'm an old fart. I mean, wanting to not change things very much, because I'd rather keep my 280Z.
I'm with you. Mark, thanks so much for being with us. Rick, just a quick comment. When I worked at the bank back in the 80s, some of the employees would go on the computer and say, hey, let's look at how much so-and-so, the athlete, spent this month on his credit card, okay? Like a basketball player. Wow, $5,000 at the Boyd store on a suit. Wow. Well, imagine what people with that kind of power can do, turning refrigerators off, locking you out of your car. That's one of the things I think that's coming next. Abuse of the keyboard. Rick, thanks so much for being with us.